All right, so let's have a look what BitBoy Crypto had to say about his about crypto media of late.
Who the people telling the truth and the people not telling the truth? Pay attention, because the lines are clearly marked, but they're being skewed by the centralized authorities like the block that was paid $27 million to tell you Sam Bankman-Fried was a great guy. Justin, all the Binance FUD stories in the last 24 hours are coming from Semaphore, a media startup. Man, I tell you what, gives me a full-on for. A media startup that Sam Bankman-Fried invested in is SBF spreading Binance FUD. Guys, Sam Bankman-Fried is an evil genius. I mean, the stuff that this guy does, if he's not behind bald, someone close to him is. He's got a media startup. Why do people not talk more about the corruption of the block and the $27 million that Alameda was paid? Yeah. Nick, I know we're going to do a crypto media full-on expose, okay? But you know what, Nick? Someone's going to have to do deep research on this. It's going to be deep.
Okay.
I want someone to go on the block from the date that payment came in until the fall of FTX, and I want every single story pulled that had to do with Solana, FTX, FTT, and any competitor, specifically the ones that we know Alameda crushed.
I mean, look who's talking. We're talking about crypto's Kramer. It's quite interesting that he wants to start a crusade against all of crypto media. He has so many things to say against so many crypto media. But in particular to this case, though, he is right. It seems like Semaphore is trying to distance itself from Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm going to quickly pull up a news article regarding that. Semaphore. I mean, it's interesting. You can have a look at some of these news articles that showcases Semaphore and other, when the relationship between Semaphore and Sam Bankman-Fried. For example, this Investopedia article says by returning 10 million US dollars, Semaphore becomes the latest media outlet distancing itself from Sam Bankman-Fried. It is interesting. It seems that we do have some sort of a plot at play here with Bald, right? Elon Musk slammed Semaphore as well, launched less than 3 months ago by Justin B. Smith, the former Bloomberg Media Group, and Ben Smith, the former editor-in-chief of BuzzFeed, news and media columnist, the New York Times. Semaphore came under the FTX meltdown when it published an article that alleged Musk and asked Bankman for $100 million. Now we come to this conclusion because I would like to think that I come from a news background, right? That I am a journalist and I cover this field extensively. Uh, we do not have a decentralized media. We have media outlets that covers the decentralized the web 3, okay, but we are still on platforms like YouTube and Google News and other, all sorts of platforms which are centralized. So we could say that, I mean, I'm not saying we couldn't, I'm not saying BitBoy is wrong over here, but what we have to look at is that you need to separate the sheeps from the goats in a proper way, because what it's not going to stop is news ventures not going to stop creating PR articles, because advertising is PR is part of news media. This is how people get paid. If you don't want news media to get paid, well, guess what? Go in a subscription based. If you want news media to be completely decentralized, you have to utilize platforms like Odyssey or anything based on Tezos on a social media platform where you can host this. We did have offers to go into completely decentralized platforms prior to this, but they don't have a big audience base. We need to convince a lot of people to go to those platforms and go to subscription based platforms. But up until then, when news media still remains predominantly free, it will depend on advertising and public relations. But in this case, it is elementary. But in this case, it is fundamentally malicious what Semaphore did, right? You could have a whole range of articles trying to seeing this media outlet in controversy, but trying to trying to paint all of these media outlets, including ourselves, like he didn't mention us, but he mentioned other names, our competitors as well. If you want to paint everybody in the same picture, it's completely wrong. I'm going to show you something. Okay, I'm going to show you something.
Before, but 5 words. All right. So we're going with a haiku style. I would probably go with the simplest way to block.
So I gotta have to show you something over here. This is our YouTube channel, the Coin Republic. Our broadcast division is dwarfed against our huge website. Our website does have a lot of coverage over there, and we extensively cover news articles over there, news. But over here we have founder interviews, right? All sorts of founder interviews, hundreds of founder interviews. We're obsessed over it because we believe on the KOLs and what they think, because in mass communication you have this theory where gatekeepers are quite important, right? I have a lot of interviews. I've done a lot of interviews with these VCs to CEOs, CMOs, and all the same time. You could have a look at our older videos. You could see. I'm gonna have to find it. And maybe you have to go to home. So we did a lot of interviews. One of the critical interviews that we did back in the days was with BitBoy, actually. BitBoy had his own fair share of controversy over here. If you could look at that, or I can't find the video. It's been very, in the rudimentary stage, I think. So we do have an interview over here. Look, it's back in
Do you want to do bulk message marketing on WhatsApp to sell your products and services? Or do you want to create?
So almost 2 years ago, we did an
So you spoke
BitBoy
about
Crypto.
the
We
future
did an
of
interview with
BitBoy
Bitcoin,
Crypto.
BitBoy Crypto.
What else?
But guess who else we did an interview with back in the day, right? I'll show you who else we did an interview with. We did an
Okay.
interview as well with Richard, the one and only Richard Hart, the founder of Hex Pulse Chain, right? We did an extensive almost 44-minute long interview with him back, I think, a year ago. Yeah, again, 2 years ago. Back in the day, we did an interview with him. If we were biased, right, we would have, we've interviewed him. It's a PR stint, all right? But when you go to our website, recent controversy with But if you go to our website, you could clearly have a look at articles where we covered Richard Hart and the controversy against, SEC versus Richard Hart and how SEC got him correctly. So, not every news media outlet is after, money. But we live in an environment where we have to cover certain stories objectively, and we also have to do PR. It's not going to go away. Everybody does that. We are trying to cover this industry as objectively as possible. See, in news media, you have updates. You have to follow up on stories. If we covered BitBoy Crypto a year ago, 2 years ago, and there's something controversial going against BitBoy now, guess what we're going to do? We're going to cover it. We're going to write an article about it. We're going to ask questions on Twitter. We're going to engage in with our community and think create polls, and we're going to see what people are talking about Richard Hart or BitBoy Crypto. We're going to follow up on those stories. So you can't just focus on a particular incident and see how, a particular news media outlet focuses on it by covering it. But, you cannot be the media vigilante all by yourself. I think who has that baton, who has that power is the public. So let the public decide who's right and who's wrong. It's really based upon objectivity. It's not political journalism where you just focus on what each party says. We're talking about objective journalism where even before, because look at it, one of the best investigative journalism in the crypto niche of all niche, right, is CoffeeZilla. But if you look at his YouTube channel, it's filled with criticizing all the news outlets, all other crypto projects or gurus, right? He has a niche. Most of the other news organizations, they have to cover technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and all sorts of things. So we cannot just do investigative journalism because it's sexy. We have to do technical analysis, fundamental analysis, because a lot of investors, a lot of whales, and a lot of day traders, everybody depends on those sorts of analysis, as well as we have to cover interesting crypto projects, which we are doing on our YouTube channel. So it's interesting that people are playing crusader against crypto media, but you gotta have to sometimes look in the mirror and see if you were right or wrong about that, where you had a malicious intent against a crypto project or for a crypto project. Well, it seems that you had your fair share of controversy itself. So I don't think a one man's war against the entire industry, it sounds quite sexy, but up until it's quite sounds sexy, but it's not it's not practical. Come on, BitBoy.